I'm Brian Van, SportbikeTracker.com, and today we're going to break down the Power Commander PCV install on our 2015 Yamaha STG R3. Okay, let's open up and talk about why would you install this. Well, on our bike, we have installed a full system. This is the M4 full system on the R3. This one is famous for making the most power out there. Super popular, right? Sells at a great price too. So we've removed the stock muffler box. The cat is removed. This bike is being used only on the racetrack, as you can see at this point. The exhaust is not street legal, and I'm going to cover all these legal disclaimers and being open and honest. There's a lot of street riders, they'll do this stuff and ride around on the street. I'm not advocating, I'm not telling you to do it or not to do it. That is your choice and your choice only to make. But even installing this Power Commander, technically the bike would no longer be street legal. It's very important you're aware of all these things before you make any modifications like that to the emission system of your vehicle. Closed course operation only. Now, why would you want to do this? Well, we install the full system in order to get all the possible performance benefits out of it. Not even just peak power, but just a nice torque curve, great throttle response. The best way to do that is to have the fuel maps modified. In order to do that, you have to have either a fuel controller like the Power Commander here or a flash tune, something like that. In this video, we're focusing on the Power Commander. This also opens the door for other modifications like a quick shifter, which would be full throttle clutchless upshifts, which we're doing to this R3 next, because I'm tired of watching my son go down the straightaway stretching the throttle cables looking like he's going to tear it apart. So we're just going to make it so he can just hold it wide open and step on the shift pedal. That is a sweet accessory. On this particular motorcycle, all you need to do to make the quick shifter work with the Power Commander is have the Power Commander itself and then add the quick shift sensor. Like I said, we'll have a follow-up video that covers just that. So back to installing this. We've talked about the reasons why you'd want to do it. We talked about street legal or not. This is a more advanced project. In order to facilitate the installation of this, you need to be comfortable removing your fuel tank completely from the bike. We're going to show you all the steps. You're going to have to wire in the harness to the coils, to the fuel injectors. They have basically a little PIC line that goes into the TPS wire. You'll come over here, you're going to wire it into the crank position sensor. Feed the harness through the frame of the bike and secure it in multiple points. We're going to show you that as well. Okay, and you really want to take your time with it and do a nice, clean, factory-esque job. And then, of course, secure the module itself. This part's going to look a little different for everybody. If you have a street bike, you have the passenger seat back here that you can easily take off. You'd put this under there. It'd fit nicely back there. For our race bike application, I don't want to take the tail on and off every time I need to work with this, so I'm going to put it right here for now. Very simple stuff if you follow the steps. If you watch this video, you're interested in installing it, and you're looking at it, you're going, man, I don't know if I can do that, then take the bike to a licensed motorcycle technician. They'll be more than happy to get this done for you. If you like what you see and you're interested, watch the rest of the video. We're going to show you every single step that it takes to install this Power Commander on the R3. Okay, as you can see, fuel tank's off. We have all the access that we're going to need to install the PCV. First thing we have to do is route the harness. When we're all done with this project, this unit is going to live here somewhere in the undertail. They want you to route the harness down the right side of the frame of the motorcycle, and you want to try and get this installed in such a way where there's not going to be any conflicts with any moving parts. It's not going to rub against anything or be pulled apart. It's very important, okay? Okay, after popping the harness through there a couple of times, I landed on the place where I think I like it the most. And to illustrate, you'll see that right here is where they break out that jumper for the crank position sensor. So right about this frame rail is where I want that to be located. Everything else is fed up through towards the coils and the injectors, and now we're going to begin actually hooking the device up. First step is up here at the coils. You need to remove the fasteners. These are two 8-hex fasteners. Now the coil itself, you want to lift up on the forward portion of it and then slide it back. Okay, the harness needs to be released. I'll get a flashlight here in a second. I'm going to show you what that looks like in there, so you guys are on point with this too. So if you see right up here, there are two tabs that drop into the hole here at the front of the coil, and then the fastener goes through the portion in the rear. So you need to grab the harness and lift it over those two tabs. The green wires, and when they refer to the green, it's going to be the green and then the green with the white, are going to connect to the orange stock wire. Well, on my bike, guess what? It ain't stock anymore. It is now green because we had a different quick shifter on here previously that has since been removed, okay? So it's going to look just a little bit different. On your bike, this one should be orange. We'll take the male portion of the Dynojet Power Commander harness and slide that into our stock coil connector. This portion now will plug into the coil itself. So effectively what you're doing is you're wiring the Power Commander in line with the OE harness. Now we have to remove the other wire here. This is our red. Let me slide this back to show you right here, okay? Red, black. You're going to take and install the red, white wires, same as we showed you with the green. The male from the Power Commander harness is going to slide into the OE connector. Make sure it's seated all the way. We'll then plug the other side into the coil. Make sure it's seated and take a good long look at this. Make sure you've got everything fully engaged before you move on to the other side. I'm just going to let this hang because we're going to come in here and tidy all this up once we get everything together. Come over to the other coil, and now we have to hook the blue wires in line with the gray with red tracer. Okay, now we'll bring the Dynojet harness over, and we've got the male into the female. Same deal, make sure it's engaged. Protective covers all the way over. And then we'll install the female onto the coil itself. Protective boot. Okay, now we're not going to secure any of this right now. I want to keep moving and work through the TPS, and then of course the actual injectors themselves. The injectors, that's a low-hanging fruit. We're just unplugging stuff, running in series, okay, and then plugging it back in. The throttle position sensor is going to be a little more difficult. Get a flashlight so you all can see it. Here is the release tab right here. I'll use a screwdriver as much out of the way as possible. You need to push right here. Okay, you can see I'm pushing down on that. And then push on the base of the connector. Once you have released the tang, like so. So you're not pulling on the wiring at all. Dynojet supplies this. This thing's actually pretty cool. Okay, this little Positap device. This portion is going to attach to the Dynojet harness that's already been stripped. This portion right here is going to safely jumper this tap to our OE harness. Okay, here's the connector. What I need to do is trim back just a little bit this protective sleeve from the factory so we're not putting a ton of pressure on that tap that we need to put in place. Unscrew the gray portion from the red portion of this tap. You can see the slot in it right there. This thing's really pretty cool. We're going to slide that over the yellow wire for the TPS connector. I'm going to position it right about there. That looks like it'll be a nice trouble-free spot. You'll then take and thread this back down so that the point from the tap will be driven into and through the harness, right? The outer protector for that TPS wire. And when it's being forced through, it's also sealing itself up at the same time. So this should be a corrosion-free, trouble-free jumper for a long time to come. This is optional. I mean, I would suppose you could just leave it if you choose to. But in the end, the goal should always be to be as close to factory as possible. Just want to put a little stretch to the tape. Always works better that way. Okay, now that we have the tap attached to the yellow wire, let's go ahead and unscrew the red cap. We need to take the cap, and you can see it's got a hole in the end. Slide it over the gray wire on the power commander harness. They've already had those wires stripped for you. Okay, got that down in there, and you can see that wasn't super easy. Okay, just soft hands. I didn't want to just jam it all down in there. I wanted them to spread out a little bit, work around the center of that tap, and then tighten it down like so. Okay, before I go any further, you know what, just to kind of hedge our bet here, notice how I'm kind of folding the wire over a little bit. I've got a small cable tie. I want to secure this right to the harness. Trim the tail off, like so. And then you can plug this back into your throttle position sensor. Now we're ready to move on to the injectors. These are a whole bunch easier. This harness will run over the top, like so. The one closest to the right side of the bike will be for the right injector. The one that leads over to the left, that will be for the left. You need to disconnect your OE fuel injectors. We're going to push on the release up here at the top, and then pull up on the connector. The release is right here. You can see that. Pretty simple stuff here. Just going to run this in line. Positive engagement. You can rotate it so it's the same as it was, so the clip is facing towards the front of the bike. Notice that positive click again. Come over to the injector on the left. Release tab, then pull up. Thread it back through. Get it run in line. Positive click. Down and through. Just give you a little recap here of how that all looks before we go any farther. Okay, crank sensor. Okay, we talked about the breakout for that earlier. It's over here on the other side right now. We need to bring that over. I'm going to thread it down through here, and we'll secure all this, of course, once we've got it all hooked up. Okay, that is this connector right here. Here's your tab, your lock tab. Depress that. We'll then run this in line. Good positive engagement. You can see right back here. To make this a little bit easier, I'll go ahead and just pull our jug for a minute. That chill on the side. That connector is right here. I'm gonna cut this cable tie. Okay, here is our stock exhaust gas sensor right here. This has an O2 optimizer, so we're totally eliminating the oxygen sensor, the exhaust sensor. We need to unplug it first. There's a release clip right here. Got that lifted up. Kind of spread this apart, like so. Now we can go to the other side of the bike and pull this out. Okay, over here on the other side of the bike, just work this thing out of there. Remember, if you want to use an auto tune or something, you can do that. So you'd be replacing the sensor, installing a different one as long as your system allows for it. We've got the M4 full system on this bike. That is the one that's the most popular for the R3, man. This one makes the best power. Now we're going to replace this with a bung plug. Okay, that just eliminates the sensor. We will keep this, of course. The M4 pipe that we put in had a reducer that we'd installed way back when we did this full system. We're going to take that bad boy out of there. And seal this up with a bung plug. Okay, I saved the bung plug that came with the system, so I'm going to go ahead and cap that off. It's going to help to just make sure the exhaust flow is smooth as possible, right? You could leave the stock sensor in there, it's not a problem. Or you could also, if you want to roll and use some other type of tuning option, some of the auto tune stuff that may be compatible with this bike. Okay, we've got that all capped off now. Your O2 optimizer, this plugs right into the stock harness. Okay, just find the tab right there, like so. Now it's time to find a good home for the unit. Our bike looks different than yours. A stock bike, you can remove the passenger seat very easily, and this would mount back here per their instructions. That's not going to work for us in our current configuration. So what I've decided to do is I'm going to slide it right here like this for now. I use one of the Velcro patches here. The battery strap itself is going to help just a little bit right there, hold it down. And then we'll connect the ground to the battery here. Okay, now real quickly, we're just going to recap how I routed the wires. Up here around the coils is definitely challenging for sure. I tried to make sure I secured everything the best I could with those inline jumper style harnesses, so you don't have any contact points where wires are rubbing on something that's metal, so that it's all secured. And I used a cable tie here to do that, tucked everything in there nicely. From here, I've routed it through this loom, cable tied to the frame here, cable tie right here. Come down here, I've cable tied the injector harness together in two places. This we're going to allow to float a little bit because we've secured the wire to the wiring harness. The harness itself has some movement here, but you come a little further back and we've got another cable tie, so it really can't go anywhere. I then passed through here on top of that spar of the frame the crank sensor, which is secured over on this side. The unit itself. With our install, I can't take this tail off. I need to be able to get to this thing to install the quick shifter and then, go through the process of loading the map I want, which we'll show you in a separate video. So I have to be able to get it on and off easily by just removing the rider seat. So I went right on top of the battery here. That should be fine. Secured the connection over here. Lastly, we'll come over to the other side and we can show you what we did with the O2 optimizer. Give you a closer look over here. Just try to make sure you don't have any conflicts. You don't have any wires that are not shielded that would rub against metal parts. Secure it all tightly. O2 optimizer is tucked away inside of here now. You can see we still have the coolant bottle off the bike. Okay, we've got it buttoned up right now. Notice I've got the fuel tank back on it. I've got the fuel tank connected, right? Fuel pump's all set up, it's all plugged in, pressure line is connected. All the connectors are attached. Here's where, and I'm not going to do it right now, we've already done it, started the bike to make sure everything's good. Don't put the entire motorcycle back together before you try it. You want to get it to the earliest possible state of reassembly, which would be right here where it's functional. Okay, so with the gas tank back on, I can start and run the bike. I started it, let it run, let it warm up, everything looks good, no engine lights, sounds fine, revved it a little bit, we're good to go. So where do we go from here? Okay, we have a full system on this bike, as you can see right here. So we want to change the map. This is going to come with a map for a stock bike. This is no longer a stock bike. We've got a full system, and down the road we're also going to put a quick shifter on it, which will be another video, of course. First step is to go to their site. You need to download their tuning suite. I'll bring this up now. I've already done that. It's right here. Got a desktop icon. Now we need to connect it to our power commander. Weatherproof cover, you want to slide that out of the way. They supply a USB cable. Go ahead and plug that in, like so. USB is of course plugged into the computer. Go ahead and power the bike up. And you can see that we are connected. There are 0 errors. Okay, now we want to select the most appropriate map for our bike. The first one is stock system, stock air filter. Don't want that. That's going to be the baseline it probably came with. Next we have a Yosh R77 full system stock air filter. That looks good. R77 slip-on, no. Aero full exhaust stock air filter. Realistically, if you have a full system or a slip-on, even if you don't see your brand here, okay, odds are that map is going to be so close there would be no need to have any custom tuning done unless you're racing at a really high level and have to have every ounce of power possible. We're just going to go ahead and download the R77 full system with stock air filter. Once we grab that, I want to take it over and drag it into the file folder for my power commander and find it under your documents. That's where it was created, under maps. Come over here, grab a hold of that, drag it in, let it transfer. We're going to come back here now. Once again, we're all connected, we're keyed up, we're powered up over here. We want to get the map. Go to Open Map. Remember, we've already dragged it over and I renamed. I have the baseline file, which is going to be the stock exhaust, stock air filter for a 2015 R3, and then I have the R3 full system. I basically just changed the name of that so that we understand which one it is in comparison to the others. So we're going to double click that to open it. And now I'm going to click Send Map. You can see down here that in the Map 1 Notes section that you're able to, in the View Center, either hide or show notes. Okay, and that shows currently that is the map that we now have in the bike. So we've successfully loaded that full system map. Okay, that's it. We need to button the bike up, put all the bodywork on. This video focuses solely on installing the power commander, the PCV, on this motorcycle, okay? There are options available. Quick shift, we're gonna have a follow-up video with the quick shifter installed on this R3, and there's also an auto tune. We're not doing that at this time, but that's something that's out there that is pretty popular as well. We'll do one of those down the road and show you how that works as well. Remember, why would you install this? And is it street legal? You'd install this if you've done a full exhaust system or if you've done a slip-on and you just want to get the best possible fuel mapping and get all that performance out of it that's available. That's why you would do this. Installing this on your motorcycle, even if you have stock exhaust, okay, it is not going to be technically street legal. These pieces are all designed for closed course operation because they do in fact alter the emissions system. To be open and honest, there are a lot of folks that do that and they ride around with it on the street. Those are personal choices that you need to make on your own. I'm Brian Van, sportbiketracker.com. This is the PCV Power Commander V install on our 2015 STG Yamaha R3.